Gopijana Vallabha Giridhari Yasudhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasudhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasudhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Goranita, 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 Jaya Goranita. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Asto Trisatat Sistina, His Divine Grace, His Confound Acharya, Srila Bhachan Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaja ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtotra Satat Systema, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaja ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavina ki Jai. Namacharya Siddhari Dasta Koti ki Jai. Prem se kahao Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gatadhara Srivasali Sagora Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopala Gopinath Syamakunda Radha Kunda Pridavadhan ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dham ki Jai. Shri Mayapanavadip Dham ki Jai. Shri Jagannathpuri Dham ki Jai. Gangamaya Yamunamaya ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vinda ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Samman devotees. All glories to the Samman devotees. All glories to the Samman devotees. All glories to Sisi Gaur and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the Bhagavad Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 13. This is still on the passing of Bhishma and his instructions. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyamsa Tattva Jaya Mandirayet Nasta Payesu Bhadesu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki Samstite Tirate Pando Prita Bala Prajavadau Yusman Krite Bahun Kleshan Praptato Kavati Muhu Samstite Tirate Pando Prita Bala Prajavadu Yusman Krite Bahum Klesham Praptato Kavati Muhu Samstite Tirate Pando Prita Bala Prajavadu Yusmat Krite Bahum Klesham Praptato Kavati Muhu. Can someone try? Anyone else? Mataji's Any Mataji's, please? Is that a Mataji? Huh? It looks like a man's voice. Huh? Okay. Two more Matajis because three men recited. Thank you. Synonyms, one for word translation, then translation and purport by His Divine Grace, His confounded child. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samstite, after the demise, Atirate, of the great general, Pandu, Prita, Kunti, Bala Praja, having young children, Badu, my daughter-in-law, Yusmat Krite, on your account, Bahun, multifarious, Klesham, afflictions, Prapta, underwent, to Kavati, in spite of having grown-up boys, Muhu, constantly. Translation, as far as my daughter-in-law, Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Please kindly responsibly repeat. As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Purport. The sufferings of Kunti Devi are doubly lamented. She suffered greatly because of early widowhood and to get her minor children brought up in the royal family. And when her children were grown up, she continued to suffer because of her son's actions. So her sufferings continue. This means that she was destined to suffer by providence. And this one has to tolerate without being disturbed. Om Gyana Timirandasya, Gyana Jana Salakaya, Satsuru Militan Gyana Tasmai, Si Gurave Maha, Suchetana Manobhistam, Stapitam, Gyana Putari, Swayam Rupam Karamaya, Vadantikam, Vadantikam. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahora, Buddhaya Pusgavanto, Chittana. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari Nirvishesi Sanya Bhari Pasanchara Satari Vanchakalpatari Decha Kripasandhya Evacha Patitanam Pavana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare. So, again, we'd like to thank you for finding the time to come to participate in this morning Bhagavatam discourse. These little kids, do they understand? Do they understand English? Huh? All right. So, but you know, the Bhagavatam also is such that, it's like fire. Whether you understand that fire burns or not, if you put your hand to the fire, it will burn you. So the Bhagavatam does have an effect. Discourses on the personality of Godhead have an effect even for those who don't understand what is transpiring, what is taking place. Just hearing the vibration helps to stimulate the purification. So, in this text is Bhishma Devi is addressing Mother Kunti. Kunti she was a staunch devotee of the Lord, but she also had peculiar situation that could make people to become discouraged of serving Lord Krishna. Because if you are serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Lord Krishna himself mentions in the Gita, surrender unto me, sarva dharma paritaja, mamekam saranam brajam, aham tvam sarva papebhyo, mokshaye mahasucha. I'll surrender unto me, I'll free you from all sinful reactions. As I am free from all sinful reactions. So, we find the case of Kunti Devi, that she went through so many challenges. Along with the Pandavas, they went through so many challenges. So does it mean that Krishna is not protected? Yes? Who can answer this? Kunti and her sons, they went through so many challenges. Even Draupadi, dedicated devotee of the Lord, she went through so many challenges. Does it mean that Krishna is not protected? Can Krishna promise in the Bhagavad Gita that, anyone who is surrender unto me, I'll protect you from all sinful reactions? Suffering is due to some malfeasance reactions from the past. Like people have a lot of litigations. Trump in America, he has it's just one litigation after the other, criminal charges here and there. Before you become a president of a country, you have accumulated so much of pious merit from previous life. But how you use that position, your present position, is what sparks off other further developments in your life. So, again, we find that sometimes we find a child born deaf and dumb. Innocent child. We say he's an innocent child. Is it not? Innocent child. He's just born. If there is a God of justice, there is a God of compassion, what has this innocent child done? Or you see sometimes, I travel to some countries, and you're driving a car along the road, developing countries, and you see some lady pregnant. She's crazy, she's mad. So that child that is in the womb of that lady, what a terrible, this is an innocent child. How she could be put into that type of terrible situation? Yeah, so if we understand the different stages of actions and reactions, you read the Nectar of Devotion, you see Rupa Goswami has given delineation about all of these different stages or different responses to our past deeds. But then again, if you are surrendered or you're serving Lord Krishna, we still suffer. So Mother Kunti is a typical case. But Prabhupada mentions in his last phrase of the last sentence here, and this one has to tolerate without being disturbed. Here the implication or the application of the terminology Tam Titiksha Swa Bharata comes to play. And if we understand also that Krishna is in charge, and if we, surrender ourselves to Krishna, Krishna will take control. But does it mean that we will not have fever? We will not have headache? Or someone will not assault us? Or should we just sit back and say, and this is a common thing in India, because people understand this philosophy of karma, and some things happen and then they say, oh, it's my karma, let me just suffer it. Yeah, the average Indian understands the principle of karma, and so sometimes they accept the suffering in a wrong way without defending their rights. And you see how Krishna was insistent on this fundamental right. No, you have to fight. This is your right. You have to take back your leadership position. You have to take back your sovereignty. You have to take back the power of the monarchy. And so people read the Bhagavad Gita, read the Mahabharata, but that does not seem to reflect on their thinking. So you can't say because I'm a devotee and someone is being abusive to me, oh, it's my karma. I think I merited more than this. Yes, but so we can use the scriptures to weaponize our weakness to actions, to protect ourselves, to protect our the members of our constituency. And therefore it is important that we are concerned. Bhishma Dev was expressing his concern about the suffering of the Pandavas. He didn't say, oh, that's your karma. I remember one young devotee that I was mentoring, she's a female devotee in college. And apparently her friend was in difficulties. And so she asked me whether, Maharaj, should I preach to her that, this is your karma? You just, yeah, we know this is the person's karma, but we don't tell the person that, hey, this is your karma, You are not helping the person at all. It looks like you're cruel. You're not being empathic. And so sometimes we read the philosophy, we understand the philosophy, but it also makes us to be hard-hearted. Oh, he's suffering. Oh, it's his karma. Oh, the husband is being abusive to her, beating her every day. Oh, it's her karma. No, we should be practical. We should ask We should act as people who care and love other people. We should be concerned about the welfare of other people. This was the position of Bhishma Dev. He was concerned about the welfare of the Pandavas. The Pandavas and Mother Kunti, they went through so many horrors. Okay, see, there's so much of war, killings going on in Ukraine. And you go and tell some Ukrainian devotee that, you know what? This is their karma, you know? This is the karma of the Ukraine. In fact, if you make this type of statement in public, oh, you're doomed. Yes, so we may understand the circumstances surrounding a very particular bad development, but we don't use the very philosophy to justify that bad development to hurt the person who is undergoing the pain. Okay, the Pandavas' throne was usurped by their own uncle. And then from their uncle, it was passed on to their cousins. But did Krishna just say, well, this is fine. The same family, this is fine. And that's why sometimes people think that, they perceive that, Krishna is God. He instigated a war. How can God instigate a war? But it's about justice. God is not a God of injustice. God is the God of justice. And therefore, when Krishna saw that the Pandavas were being cheated, he had to come to the rescue. He has to persuade the Pandavas to go into some type of negotiation. You see, what happened traditionally is that before a conflict really comes to play, there are moves for negotiations. And if all negotiations fail, all right, let's go to show power. Let's go to the battlefield. Let's fight. And that was what happened with the battlefield of Kurukshetra. There was a plea of even just to give, some of the assets to the Pandavas. But, Duryodhana said even a land that a pin will rest on, he's not going to release. This is the same family. The same family. This is the nature of this material world. The world is designed for conflicts. We are in the age of conflicts. There were this someone posted a video on YouTube regarding the threatening war coming up between China and Taiwan, and some people we are lamenting like anything. I said we are in an age of conflict. One guy he reacted to it with love. He saw the reason to it. But you don't go and tell people that this is your karma. You're being killed, or this is your karma. Typical example is the response of Bhishma Dev to the suffering of the Pandavas and Mother Kunti. Mother Kunti had these young children. Her husband was literally cursed to die. And after the death of the husband, she has to struggle so much. A widow has to pass through so many challenges, and not to speak of when you have a child, and in this case, children. So we can understand how much pain she went through, emotional pain, financial pain. And Bhishma Dev recognized the suffering, the pain, the emotional trauma that Kunti has gone through. So he was empathic. Understand, the emphasis here is that Bhishma was empathic with the suffering of the Pandavas and Mother Kunti. He was such an elevated soul, but he didn't assume a position of, carefreeness. He was empathic. In fact, in some previous texts, he mentioned you couldn't have even survived in those tribulations. When people plan and they want to kill you, and you don't have even the military resources to defend yourself, and then somehow or the other you're protected like a magic. So it's like it's an amazing thing when someone who has the power tries to kill you and he did not succeed. But what is the root cause of that protection? Because the Pandavas were dedicated servants of Lord Krishna. They passed through heavy challenges. But because they were servants of Lord Krishna, Krishna came to the rescue. Krishna protected them. It doesn't mean that because they were servants of Lord Krishna, that they wouldn't have to pass through some difficulties. Or pass through some difficulties, but Krishna would always come to the rescue. If we tolerate, like Prabhupada mentions here, if we understand that this material body comes with suffering too, and when the suffering comes, we don't sit back and say, well, material body comes with suffering, I don't need to go and see a doctor, I just sit back there and, bear this karma. No, it's not like that. I know some devotees, they don't seek for medical attention when they have problems. I've seen devotees like that. So, all glories to those devotees, but I go for medical attention, So we have to be practical. The body is ephemeral, and the body comes along with different challenges. Life is ephemeral. Life is replete with challenges. Social challenges, professional challenges, devotional challenges. That we don't sit back and say, well, no need to struggle. The Spanish, they say, a lucha continua. The struggle continues. And this was the advocation of Lord Krishna, because the Pandavas tend to say, Arjuna tend to say, what's the use? No need to worry. It's my karma, no need to worry. And if I kill these people, who am I going to enjoy the resources with? But Krishna, with his perfection of persuasion, was able to convince Arjuna to embark on the cause, on the route for justice. And some, even now, there's always there are always bodies fighting for justice, even in America. That's one current slogan now. Slogan now is woke. Have you heard of that? WOKE, woke. Have you heard of woke? So in America, there are so many institutions and bodies that are fighting for justice. There are so many injustices that are going on. Then some people, they don't want to hear people struggling for justice. But some of the so-called injustices that people are really like fighting against, they are moral, ethical justices. But you know, the world is turning bizarre. And so people want to act along with the impulse, according to the impulse of their mind, the senses, and the body. And so people are advocating that, what's wrong? Allow me to use my body the way I want. It's my child. I can kill the child. So what? What's the concern? It's my right. It's my body. But this is completely irrational, because we may not have any reactions to some of the things we do now, but the reactions come in little lives. And that is why we find sometimes we attribute a child suffering, or say born deaf, blind, as an innocent child. But there are no innocent victims in this universe. There are no innocent victims in this universe. Karma comes to play. In philosophy, it's called requital epistemology. Karma comes to play. They may not use the word karma, but requital epistemology means karma. Okay? Requital epistemology. Yeah. So, see, if you want to preach, you should be able to translate your religious terms into English terms, into technical terms. And then the people who even say, no, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in this, when you say it in a palatable way, they say, tell me more. So, the point is that this world, suffering is there. This world, fighting is there. So we are seeing the fighting that is going on. We should not be over perplexed. Fighting is one of the defaults of this material world. Ahara, Nidra, Baya. Baya means fear or fighting. And so people should understand what the world is constituted of. And so when those qualities begin to emerge, and then they don't feel too disturbed. It doesn't mean that we go and shoot somebody and say, this world is fighting is one of the defaults of this world. But we see, the negative things happening in the material world. We should understand that this is the design of material nature. And the material world is not designed to keep us comfortable. Just like if you are thrown into jail, the jail is not designed to keep you comfortable. It's just designed to reform you. But if you say, well, I'm having 3 square meals here, why do I need to go work so hard outside there? And some people, I've seen this in America, some people, they are released from jail, then they go and commit another crime to be thrown into jail. Because even in jail, you can go to school. One guy, he got his PhD when he was in jail. No, I'm serious. He was indicted of drug charges, and then they throw him to jail. But he was smart. He used his jail period and studied. In America, you are in jail, you can study. And he got a PhD when he was in jail. And so when he was released, he started doing, so much of service to the society, especially to drug addicts and drug barons. He focused on preaching to them. So, we have to understand that the material world is a prison. We may have all of the facilities available at our disposal, but we should also admit or appreciate the fact that suffering is part of this world. But not just because suffering is part of this world doesn't mean that we embrace suffering. You understand the difference? We don't embrace suffering because we understand, oh, suffering is part of this world. In other words, when we face challenges, we should deal with the challenges to be able to move ahead. And we should try to be empathic with someone who is having challenges. We should figure out ways to help people who are having challenges. And not just think, oh, come on. Is there karma? Is this karma? Is that karma? Yeah, that is the difference between a pure-hearted soul and someone who simply has dry spiritual philosophy. One who is imbued with dry spiritual philosophy, they don't care. Do you understand you're suffering because of karma? That's your karma. Go ahead, suffer. So, we should be empathic, just like Bhishma Dev. Out of compassion, he was empathizing with Kunti and the Pandavas. We don't pray for suffering. We should not say, sometimes, some people, they want to act like Mother Kunti to pray to Krishna, please give me sufferings. With the sufferings, I can always remember you. I can always say. If we pray like that, Krishna will give you suffering. But are you going to be able to tolerate? Are you going to use the situation to remember Krishna, to think of Krishna? I remember one of my friends, when he was in college in Delhi, he told me a story. He used to devote some college students to yatras. And so one time, it's funny how people think about the deities sometimes. So one time, he didn't want to go for the yatra, but he didn't have any good excuse to give to his friends, the students. So he went to Radha Sati, and he prayed to the deity that, my Lord, see, I don't want to go to this yatra. Do something about it. So in a couple of days later, he had a terrible accident. And it was obvious to all of his friends, all of his students, that he cannot go to the yatra now. He had an accident. So don't be careful what you pray before the deities. Krishna may delay giving us the blessings we need, but when we pray for bad things, the facilitation is easier, it seems. So we should not try to become like modern neo Kunti. In Kali Yoga, we don't have Kunti Devis. We may have Kunti Devi Dasi. We don't have Kunti Devis in Kali Yoga. In 21st century, we don't have Kunti Devis. So we should not imitate the prayers of these highly elevated souls because we don't have the same consciousness. Any comments or questions? Yeah, these young boys, they have not asked any questions. Today you should ask some questions. Bolo. All right, if there's no questions, then we'd like to adjourn this meeting. Yes. Huh?
It's easy to say philosophically that tolerate without being disturbed.
Uh-huh.
But even a physical pain, if I got some knee injury, how to tolerate
Sure.
to tolerate without being disturbed.
Yeah, that's why people commit suicide. Because they feel, I can't bear it anymore. Let me just rest in peace. But there is nothing like resting in peace. Nothing like resting in peace. Nothing like that. If you read the newspapers in memoriam, they say this person has passed away graciously, may his soul rest in perfect peace. This person has rested with the Father. Who told you? Who rested with the Father? So either in this life or in the next life, there's no question of peace. There's no question of resting in peace. The soul does not rest in peace. The soul is always active. So, yes, it's a very practical point you have raised. It is very difficult. The concept of tolerance, especially to pain, is so challenging. It's so daunting. And therefore, it's a question of, like Lord Krishna, Arjuna was having problems in appreciating what Krishna has told him. And then he asked Krishna, so, you're talking about controlling the mind and all these things. It's just so difficult. It's so difficult, man. Krishna said, yes, it's very difficult. But by practice and detachment. So tolerance of pain, emotional pain, physical pain, is very, very challenging. Recently, someone had an accident, and all head, bones, spinal cord. And so my friend in Delhi, he sent a message to me with a picture of even the video. I was very disturbed to look at it. So he said, Maharaj, pray for this Mataji. Husband is dead. Children are grown up. Children are not devoted. They don't care about her. She is very dedicated to the services of Lord Krishna. Pray for her. She's in a terrible mess. Accident. I look at the video, the situation she was in. I was myself disturbed. So, if people have faith in Krishna, if people have faith in our prayers, that is an amazing part of the accomplishment. So when I was doing my puja to Grand Shiva, I made some prayers to this lady. Some of our devotees also made some prayers. We also sent her name for some special prayers at the Madhava Temple, Madhava Temple. But her situation was so devastating. But amazingly, no, even I tell you, let me tell you what I thought. No, she's gone. This was my thought. It's just too terrible. But anyway, we have to pray. It's up to Krishna. But 2 weeks later, this devotee sent me a message. He said, oh, let me inform you, that woman has improved a lot. I said, what? So, when we are in pain, we should have people in our lives that we can relate the pain to. Rupa Goswami mentions about confidence. Don't take the challenges you are facing to yourself alone. Discuss, share with people that you have confidence in, that they will not take you into the streets. Because just by sharing, you see, if you have a quarter paper, like this paper, if you have this quarter size of paper and you share it with a friend, Your friend needs paper to write an address. Someone wants to give him an information. He needs a paper to write that information. And you you share your paper with him. You no longer have a full quarter size of paper. You have half. The same thing goes with the trauma that's accompanying our pain. When we share our pain with someone whom we have confidence in, that trauma, the trauma that comes with that pain, is automatically reduced. And that is the major reason, the fundamental reason behind the conception or the construct of confidence, sharing your challenges with your confidant. You have to have someone in your life whom you can share your challenges with, whom you can share your victory, whom you can share your successes with. Because the material world is a place of challenges. And therefore, when we have pain and if we share that challenge with someone close to us, with people who have vested interest in our welfare, that pain, somebody or the trauma that accompanies that pain, the pain is not the problem. It's the trauma that accompanies that pain. The resultant trauma from that pain is the challenge. So when we have confidence, as recommended, Rupa Goswami did not mention this detail, but this is from psychological background, and it's just such a physical experiment you can perform. Take a quarter size of paper, divide into two, and give a part to your friend. You share with your friend. You no longer have a full paper. That is what takes place psychologically when you share your traumatic experiences with loved ones. So this is the reason why we need to have people in our lives that have vested interest in us. And it's difficult in Kali Yuga to have people in our lives who have vested interest in us. I remember when in my early years as a Sannyasi, and I had so many friends. I was preaching on Facebook, I had so many friends. But when I had, big health issues, then I realized, oh, I don't have friends, boy. Yeah. The people you never expected are the ones who come to the rescue. I remember one of my friends in Delhi, she used to invite me, herself and her mom used to invite me to come to their home. And I always give excuse that, I have this, I have this, and this. So, but then when I was in a big problem where the medication alone was costing like $150,000, she single-handedly raised $35,000 from India. And so, after the treatment, so I really approached her and begged her. I said, please, I'm sorry, I've been very offensive to you. And now, I was in a mess. Then I realized how much you love me. You and your parents, how much you love me. She told me, it's good for you. Yeah, so we should have people in our lives that are caring. They are caring. Dr. Devahuti has been helping me for years. She's been sponsoring my Ayurvedic medicines and other things for years. And the result, she had a liver cirrhosis, and liver cirrhosis had no medical cure. But the Ayurvedic medicines that I was taking for over the years, liver cirrhosis of grade 4. And from grade 4, you go into liver cancer, and then you go and meet up with Yamaraj. But when the medicine she was sponsoring and other things I was taking Ayurvedically from grade 4 is now between grade 1 and 0. So it's almost like, null and void. So we need to have people in our lives who are caring. And that comes when we are also being helpful to people. If we are available to people, Krishna will also arrange for people to be available to us. If we are caring to people, Krishna will also arrange for people to come. The people that we care for may not be the ones to reciprocate. Krishna could arrange someone else, other people, to reciprocate, to help us when we are in need. So, being empathic is essential, and Bhishma Dev is a striking example for us. All right. And some question, okay.
Very thankful to this wonderful lecture. Maharaj, you are telling that if a person has mental problems, physical problems, he should have people to whom he can share. But the problem comes with it if a person is devotee, a person is introvert.
Huh?
If a person is introvert, what is the case?
A devotee, yes, we have different personalities. You know what he's saying. There are the extroverts and there are the introverts. Introverts, they keep the things to themselves. But even the introverts, they go to see the doctors. Correct? Yeah. An introvert may be unhealthy, may be sick, and he goes or she goes to see a doctor. And you're bound to confide your challenges, your problems to the doctor. So, and even an introvert may not be open to everyone out there. The extroverts, they're free with everybody, But introverts, they're not free with everybody. If they have successes, they keep it to themselves. If they have problems, they keep it to themselves. Are you an introvert? So, there's no problem. You see, this is a type of personality. And Krishna is the one who is behind all of the different personalities. Be you an introvert, an extrovert. But I've seen that people, I have some friends, high-profile personalities, and they tell me something. They share something with me about their personal life, and and because sometimes I'm close to maybe their students or their juniors, and they say, "This is between myself and you. Don't tell anybody." I said, "Come on, I'm a professional. We don't take people's issues to go and discuss with anyone else." I remember one of my former assistants in the U.S. She's an Indian body, but she was born in America, so American Indian. And sometimes she will ask me, because we are very close, sometimes she will ask me about the problems of other devotees. I say, "Hey, we don't tell problems of people to anybody, I ask her, "So if you have confided in me all of your issues, if I tell you your issues, even one single of your issues to another of my disciples, how will you feel?" She said she will feel very, very enraged. I said, "So don't ask me about someone else's issue." It's a rule in professionalism that, like the doctors, they don't go and discuss the patient's issue with somebody else, except they're consulting with another specialist about that issue to be able to help the patient. So, to be an introvert is also good, because sometimes I've seen people, even in our movement, they think that they have to tell their problems to every devotee. And then they go to share their problems or challenges with somebody, and then the person takes them to the street, and they become utterly devastated. I've seen people who left the movement also because of that. They tell a devotee something, and the devotee wants to tell this person, tell this person, tell this person. So keep your problems to yourself. Rupa Goswami says, a confidant. Confidant is someone that you trust. You are in a deep loving relationship with the person you can trust. And how to assess someone, assess the confidence of someone, give that person small secret thing about you and see whether he retains it or he shares it with somebody. That is how you can, evaluate someone's level of confidence. So sometimes it's better to be, an introvert to protect yourself from devastation. Yes.
Maharaj, sometimes, like some practitioner devotee come into the movement, and for years and years together they are in a movement. So they cannot say on the ground of being introvert, they are not revealing their anarthas to even one person, and then they are causing great damage to the devotees who are confiding in that person at the very root. So being friends in Krishna consciousness doesn't mean like to keep your anarthas talk. I told you, don't tell anyone. And so some people, when I later encountered such a case, then I'm too introvert, I never shared, but you cause such a harm to other person. So because it's like, you are diseased, to the spiritual hospital, you must tell at least to one of your superiors, so that timely you can be cured of that disease and you don't disseminate that disease to others. Because like sometimes if you have an anartha, you have to tell at least one person, because otherwise for a decade you will be shown as a very good devotee, and later when you get exposed, you say, oh, I was introvert, I couldn't share.
Okay. Here is my response to that. Now, some diseases are not contagious.
Some are bad.
Some diseases are not contagious. COVID is contagious. So, it depends on the type of disease that you have. There are some diseases that you just need to talk with your doctor and to deal with that. And if even you are confiding your state of health to somebody, you have to ask yourself, what is the value? What is the help I'm going to get from this? Am I going to get some emotional support or whatever support? So it all depends. I've also seen senior people, you tell them some things and they take you to the street. I've seen that. So I don't, from my own experience of almost about 40 years in this movement, and perhaps on this planet over 60 years, we have to be careful. Yes, we should have. Look, I have people in my life. Sometimes they are really young people, and have to follow their advice. I can tell you this. I remember I was to travel to one country. I made my schedule. I sent it to them. And that time, I was having some of these young followers who were just doing their HSC. They were 17 years old, 18 years old. So I sent my schedule, my itinerary to them. And two of these young kids, they wrote back to me, one boy and one girl. Separately, they wrote to me to say, don't come to our country at this time. I said, why? He said, we are having exams during that period. And if you come, we'll be cheated because we will not be able to have the association. So I canceled the trip. Now, even my own health situation, there are some of my young friends that know about the details. some of my contemporaries or senior people, they don't know about the details because I know their modus operandi and modus vivendi. So you can't say because someone is a senior and then you go and share your information or your confidential matters with that person, except you know you are going to be helped by that person. So it all depends on how we validate the consequential effects of sharing, because there are some people who are there to help you. Whether you share with them or not, they will pray for you. And whether you are introverted so much so that you don't want to let them know, they will be there to help you. So what someone does with their confidential matter should not be a concern, a general concern to us, but it should be a concern to that person that he or she should understand the science of sharing, and that when you share, the trauma that accompanies that challenge is reduced automatically to half. And then we'll be able to evaluate or analyze how we deal with the situation in the future. So yes, it is important that we share. If we understand the science of sharing, it's important that we share our concerns with people and then be able to get the help that is required. But in general, again, we have to be careful to see that we don't have a misplaced trust. We have to evaluate people based on their level of confidentiality and deal with them accordingly. So yes, we should have a forum where we bring out our feelings or our distractions, our barriers, so that we can become purified. Does it make some sense, Dr. Devahuti?
Yes, Maharaj, and then one thing is okay. Then such like person who is carrying such a disease inside should not take any that particular service which requires responsibility.
What?
Like Maharaj to put in simple words, like when it's a devotee matrimonial profiles. So if you are having so much anarthas inside, so you should not pose yourself as a very good suitable match for other person. Just being said that you have never you were too introvert to share it to anyone, because it will cause damage to other person. So on that grounds, if people have so much disease inside and they have never revealed it to anybody, they have never taken a positive corrective action, then they should not take such a responsible position, then they cannot be a good match to other person.
If I understand you, what you're saying is that if someone is an introvert, he should not pose to be an extrovert. Is that what you mean? Huh?
No, Maharaj, I said like people should, being introvert is different and being duplicitous is different. Sometimes duplicitous people show that they are introvert to hide their sinful tendencies, and then they cause great damage to the devotees.
Okay, so here is the situation. We are not psychoanalysts. So I know for me, I'm not a psychoanalyst. So I take you by your face value. What you say is what I'm going to take you. And then I will evaluate you and assess you based on what you tell me. If your actions, if your modus operandi and modus vivendi contradict what you attribute to be, then it means you're hypocritical. So if we're talking about relationships, people should be careful, because sometimes the first months of engagement could be very juicy, but when the people get married after one child or second child, then the real nature of the spouse comes out. So, this is what it takes to be in the material world. It's so challenging. It's like playing a dice. Life is like playing a dice. Sometimes you get 5, sometimes you get 2, sometimes you get 0. It's difficult to evaluate people. Even you find that sometimes the astrological compatibilities are very high, but people again tend to hide their inner feelings, their inner character, until I know a case where one of Papa disciples told me he wanted to get married and he was looking for a wife. So when he was young, and somebody or other, he got this lady. She was not a devotee at the time, but she promised that she will follow everything. And then he took her by her words, and then they got married. Yes, she was following, but when they had a child, the child was like 2 years old, and then she just came to tell him that, hey, not following any damn thing again. So he didn't go down with her. They divorced. I know of another case, one professor, the similar case. The girl was from an aristocratic family. She was not a devotee. She got attracted to him. He got attracted to her. But he told her the conditions, what she is following. The girl said she will follow everything. This boy, his parents are not devotees. The girl's parents also, family, they are not devotees. Yeah, it's a little bit dicey. We have to be careful when it comes to relationship and marriage and all this stuff. So, but then, what happened was that they got married. They had a child. There was so much of pressure. The boy's family, his sisters, were pressurizing the girl, his wife, not to follow. The family of the girl, they were pressurizing the girl not to follow. So she at some point in time, she broke loose. So she told the guy, no, she's not going to follow again. But then the guy went down the drain with her. So initially, it is difficult to assess people, especially when it comes to relationships. People hide their stuff, hide their intentions. But when we are in a devotional community under the directions or mentorship of some senior people, we have to see how we are relating with others in a way that is conducive for collective spiritual growth and individual regeneration of spiritual ideologies and profiting the society in general. So it's a challenge. Human psychology is just a big thing. That constantly we have to reassess ourselves, evaluate ourselves to see how we are cleansing ourselves from our fanatics. And one of those best things to do is to have a sense of sharing and caring. And I've explained about what the effects of sharing, what it does. Yes? No. Feel free.
That was a part of the first question when I asked that tolerance without getting disturbed. Then you said, okay, sharing will help to reduce the trauma. But the most challenging part is when the trauma comes from the loved ones.
That is it.
When our asakti is so much, then it's so difficult to become detached because we are not attached to
Listen. You see, if someone far away hurts you, you don't feel much. But someone close hurts you, it's like fire. It burns like fire, So, it is possible to tolerate. Otherwise, Krishna wouldn't be crazy to say Tamta Tikshas for Bharata. We should tolerate the pain that comes with being hurt. And someone who will hurt you, is someone close to you, not someone far away. In Africa, there is this adage that a particular tree, the tree is to die. So some scientists discover that the germ that kills, that is responsible for the death of this tree, lives on the tree. So the person who will hurt you the most is the closest person to you. And therefore, we have to seek out ways or seek out strategies. And when we get hurt, what do we do? I mean, it's like when you have pain, you have to go to see the doctor to be examined. When we get hurt emotionally, what do we do? Someone hurts us, what do we do? Should we say, oh, damn you, get out of my life? No. I know I have friends that I deal with them. Some are very close, some I maintain a distant relationship. Because some people don't also know how to talk. They don't know how to relate to somebody. They don't even know, some people don't even know when they are being abusive to you. And I'm sensitive. So, with such situations, it becomes very difficult to maintain very close proximity with some people. So first of all, this is it. Listen. Evaluate this person, and ask yourself, is it a personal issue or this is his general lifestyle? This is the way he behaves. This is the way he talks. If this is the way he talks, if this is the way he behaves, if this is the way he operates, you should feel detached because it's not projected only on you. When you have to get into a friendly relationship, study the people and see how they operate. Their modus vivendi, the mode of operation, and their modus operandi, the way they operate. And have a very close examination of these two aspects of their life. So that when they act in ways that feel hurtful to you, you ask yourself, is it the way he behaves to other people too? If this is the way he behaves to other people, you just be detached. If this is something personal to you, tolerate. And then, if you really love this person, call them when your temper has calmed down. Call them and discuss with them. Ask them. I'll give you an example. There was an 8-year-old girl in Laguna Beach in America, in Los Angeles. There was this girl, so the father is an IT guy. The father came back from work one day and started raining all type of abuses on this girl. For nothing, for no apparent reason. Now, for a traditional American girl, they'll call the police and you go to jail. She was tolerant, very, very un-American. She was tolerant. Some days have passed. The father has even forgotten what he did. They were eating together. And then he said, Papa, you know the other day you came back from work? You did like this to me. You did like this. You did like this. You did like this. Did you have any fight with somebody in the office that day at work? 8-year-old girl. The father said yes. Shamefully, he said yes. The father told me this story. I went to the temple to give a class on Sunday. I think Ramachandra's appearance or something like that. So, immediately he told me that. I said, call the girl to come here. So the girl, she brought the girl. I begged that girl on behalf of the father and Prabhupada. Because it's so dangerous for you to hurt someone who is close to you. It's so dangerous. It's so devastating. I told the father to pay obeisances to the girl. He did. The girl also paid obeisances. And then they hugged each other. So, the bottom line is that This is how deep-rooted conflicts are resolved. What the girl demonstrated is a strategy in resolving deep-rooted conflicts. You don't sit back and have grudges against this person and that person. I mean, look at Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State. He has scheduled a visit to China. Now, China and America, there's a big tension. They may go into a fight. But then they are not just sitting back and then waiting for that time to come. They are trying to liaise to see how they can bring down the tension. So the U.S. Secretary of State is going to China in a couple of days or so. So deep-rooted conflicts are resolved by not just keeping quiet. If someone hurts you, tolerate. But when your temper has come down, ask them whether you did something that made them to do what they did to you. And what do they think you could do to be able to rectify yourself of the misdemeanor so that you can go on with your relationship in an improved manner. We don't see, sometimes we have a misconstruement about tolerance, and we think that, someone hurts you and then you just keep quiet, and then he comes to hurt you and then you keep quiet, and then he comes to hurt you. You build up a terrible trauma. So adopt the strategy of dealing with deep-rooted conflicts. In a humility, in a humble manner, you can reconcile, you can find out in a humble manner what could have triggered the hurtful encounter. And just like that girl, she waited when her mind calmed down. Father has even forgotten what he did before before she lovingly, raised the issue. Yes. Thank you. These are essential things. Yes. Can you repeat what you're saying? Decision. If the cause of suffering is bad decision, decision. My specialty is decision sciences. My PhD is in applied management and decision sciences. So you're asking the question to the right person. Yes. Can you read out what he wrote there? We can make a bad decision and cause trouble to ourselves. When we want to make a decision, we should make some consultations. We want to make a social decision, we should make some consultations. We want to make a professional decision, we should make consultations. I remember in high schools, I don't know what the case here is, but in America, in high schools, there are academic counselors. They work with the students so that they are able to help the students channel their proficiency in a particular field of study when they have to go to college. Because sometimes some students, they are not very good in mathematics, and they say they want to go and do engineering. They could become very good in law. In most cases, law does not require mathematics. They could become the ruler of the country in the future. It doesn't mean that the person who has the biggest brain is going to be the richest person or is going to be the ruler of the country. No. The scientists, they are not the rulers. It's the politicians who do not know mathematics. So yeah, decisions, we should help ourselves with guided decision making.
At the time of reading this, and we say very often that is this right? When
Krishna has given us an independence, and Krishna has given us dispositions, given us values. Arjuna was taking a wrong decision. Krishna has to rectify it. He was arguing with Krishna. Krishna has to persuade him. Persuasion. Persuasion. If even you have the right advice for somebody to do what is best for them, for their sustainable future, you need to have that value of persuasion. If you're not able to convince that person logically, convincingly, and with empathy, it is difficult to help the person. That is the exclusive functional connotation of decision scientists. They help you to channel your ideas, your decisions in the right way, in the right direction. So, it's easy, it's so swift to follow, to go and do what seems to be easy. But we have to think about what will be the ultimate goal of this route. I mean, it's like one boy, he finished high school and he wanted to go to do aeronautic engineering in the university. Plane, you know. And he waited for 5 years to get admission to the university. He waited for 5 years. I said, come on, this is nonsense. Just get into any of the courses. When you go in for your master's, you can make a choice about what specialty you want to make. So I've seen some students that they want a particular course. They want to do this course, you know. And sometimes the parents, they push them. I remember one of my mentees in America, the parents pushed her to go and do some hardcore engineering program. And then she was, because in America, you have to get the first degree before you go into school, go into medical school. And then when you're doing your first degree, then you'll be on what they call, you know, you also have to be studying for that preparation for the entry into medical school. So sometimes the parents give wrong directions to the student, to their wards, to their children, because they want their child to be a doctor. And then, if it's so easy, why don't I told her, ask your father. The father has a PhD in what do you call it? In some field. So I said, you ask your father whether medical science, medical doctor is so easy. Why couldn't he go for medical to be a medical doctor? And allow people to make to have a sense of direction on what is easy. It's called soft spot. Don't pursue the most difficult thing in life because you know this is full of fame and adoration. So yes, we may make a decision that we may not be comfortable with it in the future. It might be juicy now. We might get all of the praises. Wow, wonderful, great. So again, the mind, control of the mind is so important. That is why we need to have consultancies in our decision efforts, decision making. And no one is too big to get consulting services from others. Oh yeah. Even General Arjuna is a generalissimo. He has to get directions from Lord Krishna. So whether it's in our studies, we have to consult with people who are there, who are in the field, who can help us to pave through. I remember one lady in Canada, her sister went to medical school, she finished medical school. She has this other lady, a younger sister, she has a master's degree in some field. But when the sister finished medical school, she was pushing for the younger sister to go to medical school. And then, she didn't want to go to medical school because she thought, she had said that she has a lot of problems with health. Medical school, your health needs to be in place because it's so much of rigor in studying. So then she was making some consultations finding out from one of the boys. He's from Bangladesh. He was asking him about what he thinks about what the sister is proposing to her, because they are the two kids in the family, and then the sister is pushing for her to go to medical school. And so the boy said, "Well, I'm not an academic. I don't know anything. You go meet Bhakti Vasudeva Swami, consult with him." So she came to me and I interviewed him. But then when she was in school, when she was doing her master's, she was not taking good care of her health. She was not even eating properly. So I said, these are the causes of, I'm not a doctor, but from my own experience, if you don't eat properly, you don't sleep properly, you will not have a good health. So she's finished she's from medical school now. So consulting, something you may even think that you cannot do. Yeah, you may think, I cannot do this. Leave me alone. You may be able to do it, but you're discouraged because of your own perception and because of your own inebrities. So yes, consulting is important for our sustainable progress. All right, what's the time now? Woo! Time is gone. We have to close there, okay? Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srima Bhagavatam ki Jai. What do you do? What do you do? What's your name? Mohinish Das? Not yet. Okay. What's your profession? Software engineer. That's good. You're working? You're working in a bank. You're a banker. You're the people who are having the money. You're keeping the money. That is where Kali stays, you know?